So from the video you heard or saw, the bike sounded pretty good, and the turbo spooled nicely, fueling was proper, and that's our sponsor, one of our sponsors, Moto Composites. Anything you want, carbon for your bike, check them out. Anyway, from the video you saw, everything went right, but later that night, catastrophe struck. And so the question is, why, how? I'm gonna be a bit nerdy here. So if you're not really interested in internal combustion discussion, skip the video. Won't hurt my feelings. This is an oil galley. On one side, you have oil being fed to, on the stock bike, what would be your oil cooler. So you have a feed and return for your oil cooler. Obviously, the engine is upside down. There's an oil pan. Your radiator would be here. The front wheel would be here. The back wheel would be back there. This oil galley had a leak. The reason it had a leak is because this block-off plate, the reason you're using block-off plates is because you'll remove your oil cooler to make room for the turbo. And if you do everything correctly, you can keep the bike cool, running cool without having to have the extra protection of cooling the oil. Anyway, this oil block-off plate had a rubber gasket. The rubber gasket separated from the crankcase. And normally you'll use some sort of RTV sealant or something. So for whatever reason, where's my gasket here? These are rubber infused. I think I had one on there that was pure rubber. So this is like a paper element that has rubber in it. And they're pretty durable. They don't really expand or move with temperature, but the rubber ones, they will expand and contract. And due to the oil pressure, because we have a high volume oil pump gear, due to that pressure, I sprung a leak. What side of the motor was it on? It was on this side. And so the leak happened on this side. My right foot gets wet. Oil goes down the entire right side of the bike. And what suffered was one of the bearings. I think it's the bearing at the #1 journal. I'm obviously in the middle of disassembling everything to change that bearing out, or whatever bearings are damaged. When I took the oil pan off, I noticed just a few little pieces of bearing material, so apparently I caught it soon enough before it grenaded the entire engine. But there is damage, there is a knock where the crank is. So while I'm in here, there's a mod that I can do. And in the drag bike world, especially with these 2007, 2008 motors, there's secrets. There's ways to build these motors that allow them to make upwards of 700 horsepower, 650, 700 horsepower. If you want an example of that, go watch any of Chris Moore's videos where he shows his 0708 GSXR1000, his turbo bike. That's a motor that makes probably 650 to 700. This is a street bike, so this is only going to make 2/3 of that. We want it to be reliable, for bike shows, car shows, and cruising, and maybe a little bit of track stuff here and there. The reason I wanted to show this part of the motor is because there's a mod that you make that allows it to oil and keep these components protected. And so it's called drilling out the galley. And so this is a galley, and inside of the galley, believe it or not, there's a restriction. And the restriction exists such that oil will be forced into your oil cooler. Your oil cooler is basically a mini radiator, and it acts like the regular coolant radiator where air goes through it, cools the oil, and that's one more way to keep the engine cool for those road racers, course guys, So the drag bike community, the grudge bike community, what these guys have done is they figured out these are one of the secrets of engine building that comes to me late. But what they figured out is that you can drill out this restriction. And what it does is it allows you to have a more consistent volume of oil. Now, in my case, where this block off plate comes off because of a gasket failure, that mod wouldn't have helped me. But throughout the life of the motor, this is something that will benefit and keep everything lubricated and protected. And so I hold the camera here. You really can't see. I'll zoom in. Nope, you can't see it. Maybe if I have a flashlight here. The restriction is probably a 6mm hole. So if you could picture, this hole is 10mm. The restriction that's in there is 6mm, which is the size of that bolt. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill that out. And since I have to pull the motor apart anyway to change the bearing and to clean up whatever remnants are floating around in there, since I have to do that, this is a really good time to do this oil galley mod. And so I'm going to take a 3/8 bit, going to drill through here, punch that open, and change out the bearings, put everything back together, and do some more videos at the track, at the street, at car shows. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully it was informative. And any other little secret, it hurts so bad to have so much carbon and it's stuck here in the living room. Can't ride it. Anyway, any other little tip, trick, secret I can find, I'll make a video of it, and that's it.